the Beyoncés of the world, the Ushers, the Taylor Swifts. They're doing football arenas and so forth. But I personally don't believe we're going to see artists get that big, meaning across. I mean, you may have a few, but get that big anymore, just the way things are.
Right.
But to be able to be an artist like yourself, to hit these clusters, and you be able to do world tours, doing 2,500, well, again, you'll be doing more than that by then, doing those type. I think that's kind of like the footprint. That's what we're starting to see.
Definitely.
Things
and
lean to.
you know, I think I did a Q&A recently where somebody asked me, you know, how do you reach more people? Like, what's your best approach, like reaching a larger audience? And I think the way that I answered it to him was, I'm much more interested in serving the people that are already here.
Come on.
You know? And I think, sure, it'd be great to have more listeners, but I'm so grateful and proud of anybody pulling up. I would be gassed on myself if 50 people came to the show.
Yeah.
So like, it's just I'm very lucky and very grateful.
Can we talk? Oh, can we talk? Can we talk? R&B.
What's up? What's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn, the R&B ambassador. Listen, I apologize for the interruption, but I need you guys to help us continue to grow this channel. We're doing such a fantastic job growing, bringing you amazing content from some of our favorite R&B artists and contributors. I need you to do this one little thing: like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe is key. Also, hit the notification bell. This will help us to continue to bring more and more fantastic artists to the platform. So with that said, this is a continuing conversation. Can we talk R&B? Now back to the show. What's up? What's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn, the R&B ambassador, and welcome to another episode of the Can We Talk R&B podcast. And you know, what we like to do is bring singers, songwriters, contributors to R&B, music executives, whoever, to have conversations about the offerings that we present to the public for R&B music. And I have a very, very special guest today. I have to be honest. I'm a new fan. I've been introduced to the music maybe the last month or so. But when I tell you, this brother is really with the shits. He got the runs on you. I'm gonna just let you know he got the runs. I got my man, super talented, Mr. Mac Ayres in the building. What's good?
Chilling, man. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very well.
Yeah,
how are you?
I'm well, bro. I'm well. Thank you for making the time to show.
Of course. Thank you as well.
Absolutely, man. So I ask everyone this question: can we talk R&B?
Of course we can.
That's
what we're here to do.
That's what we're here to do. Come on. So let's dive into it, man. Like, first of all, I was introduced to your music. My producer is a real big fan. And she's like, have you ever heard of Mac Ayres? And obviously I listen to so much music, and it's just hard for me to know about everybody.
Of course.
But that's what I want to do. I want to discover.
Yeah.
So she's talking about how, like, for 3 years, she was like listening to your music. Like, I don't know if it was during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, wow. I had never heard of this guy. And then one of the other gentlemen in the studio, he's like, man, this dude is like really serious. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So you've been making an impact doing R&B soul music. So tell me, what made you fall in love with R&B? Let's start there.
I mean, I guess to put it simply, Stevie Wonder made me fall in love with R&B. I was maybe a 5th or 6th grader. I was taking voice lessons at the time, and I had a voice teacher that just put me on to a lot of Stevie. It's not what my family was listening to growing up.
Yeah.
So I just originally became really fascinated with his music just because I'm a self-taught piano player, guitar player as well. So I was just trying to figure out, you know, the chords of a bunch of Stevie songs I liked growing up. And I think I was always a little bit like, why can't I play these chords? Like, what is this complex thing that this guy is doing? And I think that started me down the rabbit hole of, of where we made it to today.
Man, Stevie has that thing about him to make, I mean, most people that I talk to about R&B music, I'm like, who's your favorite? Or who's your most, he's definitely in the top 2, top 3 all time, someone's favorite or most influential
Absolutely.
artist. And to me, he's Billy Goat.
All the way.
So we talk about goats. He's
All
Billy
the
Goat.
way. Absolutely.
Billy Goat Gruff.
All the
Wonder.
way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So where are you from? You started out, you're from New York originally.
Long Island, yes,
You're
sir.
from Long Island, New York.
Yep.
So in Long Island, you said your family was playing, what type of music did you grow up listening around?
I'd say it was probably more folky, singer-songwriter leaning. Like obviously, like a lot of Billy Joel on Long Island.
Billy Joel.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I mean, Long Island legend,
Yeah.
But a lot of James Taylor, Arlo Guthrie, people like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then Stevie came in and said, "Oh,
Stevie, he broke all that up real quick.
Yeah. I know we doing a little research and me listening to your music, I can hear this influence in your music. I was told, I guess, D'Angelo is another big influence on you.
Very much so.
When were you introduced to his music?
I was introduced to his music when I was a freshman at college, actually. It was much later in life than the Stevie thing, but my freshman year was the year that Black Messiah came out.
Oh, man.
So I sort of was like, who is this guy? What do you mean he hasn't put out an album for 10 years?
That's right,
and then I eventually, retroactively went back to Brown Sugar and Voodoo. And
that's so like to even hear you say you were introduced to him during the Black Messiah album. What?
Definitely the reverse way to be introduced.
Yeah.
But I was born in '96, the end of '96. So
I love it.
I missed those.
My song from that album is Really Love.
Yeah,
like
it's so. Have you seen like the live band version?
Absolutely.
Sharky is one of my guitar heroes.
Oh,
so seeing him
Shout
rip
out to
that on the
Sharky.
classical is like with the nylon strings and everything. That band. I always tell people that's like, in my opinion, the greatest. Chris Dave on the drums, Pino on the bass.
Come on,
like
man. Yeah, okay.
Insane
You talking that talk? Yeah, for sure.
Of course. I mean, you gotta.
I remember when D'Angelo first came out, which is like 96, 95, 96. The Brown Sugar album. So that you were being born.
Yeah.
I was mobbing, listening to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And D'Angelo, he had a special sound, and he's like a musician's musician.
Absolutely.
And a very, very tasteful soul singer, and he just has this bridge. So when I listened to your music, and when I saw that, I'm like, I can hear some of those colors or some of that influence essentially in your music. Not necessarily saying you sound like D'Angelo, but I could feel the presence there.
Totally. He's big for me.
Yeah. So what led you to becoming an artist? Like, I mean, you're listening to all this music, you like these guys. What's saying I want to be an R&B artist?
Well, I guess when I think about the beginning of my music journey, I guess I got my start performing as a bar musician in my hometown, and I was playing only covers. I probably started when I was maybe 11 or 12 years old. And then songwriting really didn't come into my life until I was probably 17 or 18. And I think that just the songs that I was writing was just a product of all the people I was listening to. And at the time, it was a lot of Stevie, it was a lot of Marvin, it was a lot of Michael. And I think, I feel like that's just sort of, I think I've just always been a product of my influences, and just a lot of them are R&B and classic R&B.
But I'm saying in terms of saying, I want to do this for a living. I want to be an artist. Because it's one thing to be a cover musician.
Sure, yeah.
And we all, as fans, we all love to listen to the music. And of course, you go to a bar, karaoke, you have, if you're actually a musician, you're just gigging, doing covers, whatever.
Right.
But everyone doing that isn't an artist.
Right. I mean, I guess when I really thought I could do it, it was probably when I got to college and just started playing my music for people, and they seemed to really like it. Like, it was not really, I didn't really think of it. It was always like a dream of mine, but it's like also a dream of mine to like be on the New York Knicks. So I didn't know how attainable it was necessarily, but I'd say I was probably 18 or 19 when I was like, I could really do this.
How did you go about it though? Like, so like speaking for myself, I remember, in high school, they would have talent shows, or they would have, we would have like I started a singing group in high school. So we would be singing at every little event. And now we're starting to feel like, okay, man, we're doing covers. Well, let's start writing our own songs.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, yo, you guys are good. We want to put you in the studio. So tell me how you got to that point.
Well, it was pretty convenient for me at the time that I was dropping out of school and working on a lot of stuff at my apartment in Boston at the time. There was a really big and growing SoundCloud community. That was really how I got a platform to share my stuff at all. And I think that was really like the earliest instance of like people finding out who I was. And like, I was just in my room in Boston at the time. I was not very outside at all.
Yeah.
But I think that was probably, people's earliest access to my original stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. I guess generationally, when I listen to guys of your generation, they say, and you're not the first guy I've heard say something like, "Man, I was just making music, and then I just put the music out." Like so you sound to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you were putting music out before people actually knew you were actually trying to be a performing artist. Is that right?
Yeah. I think it started because after I called my whole family and told them I was dropping out, I had to prove to like my mom and my Grammy that I wasn't just like at home doing nothing.
Goofing
like
off.
I was really working on my craft, and I wanted them to see that. I don't think I necessarily had, any concept of an audience or anything like that. I was just a kid making music.
Yeah. When I listen to your music, you feel like, or the music feels like rather, like you feel like you've been doing this a very long time. And again, when I listen, you talk about the influences that you have, I hear this authenticity, but it's familiar, right? It's familiar because it feels like, oh, I'm listening to you, so I'm like, oh man, this feels like Robin Thicke. Oh man, this feels like John B. Or this feels like, matter of fact, we had Eric Roberson in.
I love Eric Roberson.
And I heard, I mentioned you to him.
Really great guy.
And listening to him, I even said, I listened to some of your music, and I said, man, some of these chord structures, this is Eric Roberson, right? So it's like, I listened to all of that, and I'm like, what is your writing process? Like, what are you pulling from?
I mean, like I said, I think all of my work is really just like a product of who I'm listening to at the time. But as far as like the real process, I produce the majority of my music. So I'll just make a beat in Logic that I like and just sort of play around with melody and words. But it's usually music before lyrics, I think, more often than not. But just like record some.
So you start off chording, or
I'd say probably even before I'm hitting record, I'm like landing on a progression that I like, whether it's on whatever keys or guitar or something. But and then we'll go in and do some takes of mumbling like with a melody, and then just eventually plug some words in.
So have there been any artists specifically that you've worked with that I guess throughout this process that you've been working with or have worked with?
I mean, mostly I like to work with the people that I work with. Probably the most frequent collaborator of mine is my drummer and friend, and his name's Chris Anderson.
Okay.
We have been friends since we were 10th graders. Yeah. So he's worked on stuff from my first album all the way to the last one. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So when I listen to your music, obviously before even singing you, I'm like, man, this brother got that soul. This brother got that sauce. I see you walk in, I'm like, this is a Long Island, just a white boy. I would not imagine that you sound the way you sound, or if your music feels the way it feels. But I think about guys like I mentioned Robin Thicke. I mentioned John B. These are true to soul musicians. They're brothers. I mean, to me, I love their music just as much as I love anyone else's music.
Sure.
And your music fits right on into the same category of I would say the higher tier of musicians in terms of your approach.
Thank you very much.
I mean that. Because a lot of guys aren't, in my view, they aren't being true. They aren't being true. It doesn't feel authentic.
Absolutely.
Your music to me feels like I'm just in my room expressing myself.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all I've ever
Versus
been
I'm
doing.
trying to chase a hit.
Right. I think that's and I say this often, I think that it is the best thing I bring to the table. Like I am just me,
Yeah.
you know, and that's I've only ever been a kid making beats in my room, and I think, and it just means a lot for you to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, for real. I could imagine when you pop up on stage, like what's that experience like? When you come on stage, you have these people that never seen you before, and you get up there hitting all these falsetto notes. And
I mean, I feel like as soon as I start going, then they already know what's about to happen. But I have had experiences where, you know, maybe I'm not who they thought I was going to look like. I've definitely gotten that before. But you know, like I said, I'm just trying to pay respect and to all the people that paved the way and just the musicians that I really admire. So.
Absolutely. So your project Drive Slow, that was like your breakout project?
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
Well, sort of the beginning of it kind of started out as just in the slew of songs I was putting out on SoundCloud, right? Mm-hmm. And didn't really have a project in mind. And then I was, you know, I started to have people hit me up on SoundCloud. They were like, I think you could put this out. Yeah. And I was like, you could just put music out? Like, I didn't really know. Like, as far as like DSPs and stuff, I had no idea what the process of that was like. I was entirely green to the industry. And then once I had a couple, I just rounded it out, and the cover is my first car. It's my mom's white minivan.
Come on.
And it was just another authentic thing that felt, you know, true to me.
But at some point, you're starting to see these numbers climb. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about that. Like, you have to be like, okay, man, this is actually working.
Yeah. I think the first real moment of that for me was one of the songs on Drive Slow called Easy, which is still one of my most popular songs. Yeah. You know, I think I went to bed one night and it had like a couple hundred plays, and I woke up and it had the K next to the plays. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, it's got the K. Yeah. That was probably the first moment that I was a little bit like, okay, yeah, I think I'll just keep riding the wave and see what's going on.
I heard, honestly, I know this is crazy. I heard Easy for the first time today.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh yeah. There's a couple other ones. So I played the Cloudy album.
Yep.
So to me, this is again, I'm being introduced to the music, and I'm playing. I'm like, man, yeah, this dude is cold. It's cold. So I'm just enjoying it. Talking to one of the guys on the team, he's like, yeah, this is a lot of the stuff that was on SoundCloud, actually. And I'm like, so it's a new album. So can you talk about how or why you repackaged it? I guess I would assume introducing it to a new audience, but
I think it was a little bit of that, yes. But I've also just had a lot of my fans that have been around since then say, like, we need this on DSPs. I'd love to put this on my Spotify playlist or whatever. And I feel like it's just coinciding with a moment in my life right now that is just I feel like I'm inclined to just look ahead mostly as far as my journey. And I think that I've just had about a year or so with a lot of reflecting and just trying to just remember where I came from. And a lot of these songs are like 7 or 8 years old, and it's my first songs that I was writing and producing myself. And I think, so I you know, a little bit for the fans, but mostly just like as like a very healing and full circle album moment for me.
I mean, being a new fan, because I'm a new fan, listening to it, I mean, again, I'm listening to your tone and your vibrato and your note choices. It's really tasteful. You know what I'm saying? It's really special. And it's for people, like, I'm one of those guys who I really, really enjoy the B-sides.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the B-sides, they just have a feeling. It doesn't feel like, again, it's not like you're trying to make a hit. It's, and I throw the quotations up because anything can be a hit. But these songs are the ones these are like the soundtracks of life records. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I feel like that's what a lot of this album, or at least these songs, that's what they translate, or that's how I interpret
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's truth to that.
Yeah. So I know that you tour a lot, and it's
Yeah.
a lot of artists, you know, that have record deals that are bigger or more popular in terms of like commercially known, that aren't necessarily doing as many gigs as you are, and they aren't even doing some of the cities and places. Can you talk about how you've accomplished that, or?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'd like to believe that it's like a product of me like taking performance very seriously, like it's a big part of my artistry, I think that a little luck had something to do with it.
Course,
And also I would definitely credit the commitment that my fan base has. I think one of the things I'm most proud of as far as where I'm at today is this community that I've built. And yeah, I just go places and people really show up for me and consistently show up for me. I've had people say that, you know, this is my 6th show of yours. Like I come every time you're here.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot more what the fans did than what I did. They really,
to be honest with you, everyone in the studio today are all huge Mac Ayres fans. Like,
thank you, everyone.
No joke, like everyone. And I'm like listening to it. I'm like, you know, your presentation again. You are speaking a language that's actually connecting to people. And again, a lot of the artists today, it's just not connecting. I'm not saying there's a lot of them that are for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's, you know, with such a large influx of artists and of music, you know, everyone, you know, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
You're doing it. So I think that's a testament to your music being able to play, and then it's translating to ticket sales. That's another factor. Are you a part of a label? Do you have a management team? I
have a pretty small team, but I'm independent. I have a manager. I have a couple other people that work on the team, but for the most part, no.
Well, talk about how important that is and how you're able to, I mean, do all the things you're doing.
I think it's always been really important to me. Maybe not from like an equity stance or anything like that, but I just always wanted the people that deserved their credit to get their credit. And I think that as somebody that wears a lot of hats, you know, I'm writing, I'm producing, I'm playing most of the instruments, I'm singing backups for myself on the tracks. You know, my songs they feel like my children.
Yeah.
So I just want me or anybody else that is working on them to get the credit they deserve for it.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing, it's like credit, but it's almost like, I know like for this show, you know, I don't do this alone. I have a fantastic team. We're a small knit team as well. And I wear multiple hats as well. So it's a lot of things that I do, but I can't take full credit at all for all the wonderful things that we've been accomplishing. Shout out to my boy Brandon. Shout out to Kirsten. We've been really putting a lot of time in to make this show, to do what we're doing.
Sure.
And I know that's, as an artist as well, I know how important that is. So I'm like, it's one thing to just present yourself as an artist saying, hey man, I made this music. But there's other people behind the scenes that's actually helping move the machine along.
All the way.
You know
absolutely. And like, I feel like I'm very lucky to have a team that allows me to do the hats that I wear best.
Yeah.
It allows me to stay in the studio and stay creative. And there are a lot of working parts of the Mac Ayres team, though.
Come on, absolutely. So let's do it. Let's get into the deep dive. We have a segment called Deep Dive, and we touched on Easy a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's go into like what inspired that song, like how that song come about.
Easy. I mean,
it was easy.
It was. See what you did there. I think. When I think about Easy, like we were talking about how I start a lot at the piano, like on a progression or something. When I think of Easy, I think of the song Love's in Need of Love Today.
Come on.
And I was listening to songs in the key of life a lot and just playing along. And the verse progression of Easy is a half speed intro of Love's in Need of Love Today. It's just a whole step up for me.
I'm sorry, dude.
No, please.
I'm just good at this shit. Listening to that song today, I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is this remind me of? Or what does it feel like to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I swear that melody popped in my head.
That was fully, I just took that progression and like saw what it felt like at half speed, and I think I just went off the feeling of that. I was in like a very, I don't know, maybe listening to a lot of like Music Soul Child and stuff of that era, Bilal, and that was just sort of, like I said, it always just comes back around to what you're listening to at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I'm giving full credit to Stevie for that one, for kicking off the idea.
So, I mean, just diving deeper into the actual writing of it. So, like the subject, like how'd you get to that place? How'd you get to the overall production value of the whole song?
I feel like, I was in a new relationship at the time. I was just, I feel like it's one of those examples of just like how thoughtlessness might help you a little bit in the studio. I find that sometimes if I harp too much on an idea or trying to convey something in lyrics that maybe, I don't know, eventually like you're just thinking too much and then it's not going to turn out to what it is. So Easy was just, not to keep the pun going and say it was easy, but it really was just, I was just saying whatever. Yeah. And I never thought in a million years that it would be the song that had an impact on people the way that it has, and how I get to go to places in the world that I would have never otherwise gone to play that song.
A lot of songwriters will say some of my best records, they just were deposited. I just pulled it from, it just came out of nowhere.
That's really what it felt like, honestly. Like I wish there was more to be said to the story, but it is so much like I was just going. I feel like that's the best thing that you can do for yourself as an artist sometimes, is don't allow yourself to stop and say, what the hell am I doing right now? I was just going off the feeling, and never thought that it would get us to here, though.
For sure. How many projects have you put out so far?
Cloudy is my 6th project.
Your 6th full project?
Yes, sir.
So wow, that's amazing. So, and how long has this been?
Drive Slow came out in 2017. So 6 projects in about 7 years.
Gotcha. So, well, Cloudy technically it's technically music that you had before.
It's a retroactive. So 5 officially.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit. So we'll get into some hot takes. Like, well, first we mentioned D'Angelo, we mentioned Stevie Wonder.
Yep.
Are there any new school artists that you're listening to that's inspiring you?
Very much so. I mean, I think the first person that comes to mind is this guy McGee, who he put out an album this year called 2 Star and the Dream Police.
Okay.
He's a incredible guitar player, musician. I saw him twice when he came to New York.
I got to put that note down.
Yeah.
McGee. I'm not familiar with him.
MK_GEE.
Gotcha.
Some really cool 80s, like it's so unique and familiar at the same time, kind of like you were saying. Like it feels like it's of an 80s sort of a Phil Collins sound, but it's still with new aspects to it, so to speak. Yeah. But that's somebody very much I've been listening to a lot. I've been listening to this guy out of London named Gareth Donkin. Makes it's like a very like you can hear the Jamiroquai influence very much. It's like a lot of that sort of vibe. Yeah. So those are 2 guys right now.
2 guys you listen to a lot. Man, I gotta I'm not familiar with either of those guys. All right, so if you could make a Mount Rushmore of your favorite R&B artist, you got to give me. Well, I say Mount Rushmore, but let's just make it top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Favorite
extra
R&B
face
artist
on the mountain.
Yeah.
Well, Stevie, definitely. Marvin Gaye.
Come on.
Michael Jackson. It's gonna get sticky for the last 2.
Every time.
I'm gonna give it to Whitney.
Okay.
especially as a singer, as a performer.
No question.
And I'll put Amy Winehouse for my life. She songwriting, singing instrumentally has been very profound impact on my life.
She was, rest in peace to Amy Winehouse. She was amazing, amazing talent. A short time.
Yes.
Obviously, she left us early, but yeah, incredible talent. Okay, I like that list. So these, and when you say your Mount Rushmore, these are in terms of what you like the most in terms of sonically or influencing.
I'd say probably a combo of both.
Yeah.
Like their own bodies of work are just songs that I got on the playlist all the time. They're people I genuinely enjoy listening to, but also just as far as the musicians that I would like to emulate and pay respect to as far as the stuff that I make.
Absolutely. So, who are some of the rappers that inspire you as a songwriter?
Ooh. I was actually just talking about this recently. When I was working on a lot of the songs on Cloudy, it was 2016, and it was the year the first No Worries project came out, like Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. That album had a profound impact on me as a songwriter. But I'd say overall, I mean, like just as a kid that grew up in New York, I feel like as a middle schooler, you're automatically inclined to listen to like Biggie and Jay-Z and 50 Cent. Mos Def and Talib Kweli, like the Black Star thing that they did, that was a big, being a young kid, that was a lot of the stuff I gravitated towards.
Yeah. Awesome. Everybody talks about how 90s R&B, well, some of us say 70s, some of us say 80s. If you could pick a time that's that you would say is the best music that's been in R&B.
70s for me.
70s.
Very much.
Why?
I mean, I think it's a good question. I don't know if I've ever thought about why. I feel like maybe it's their respect to the live sound. I'm just really big on musicians that can play instruments and that are not that are being as analog as possible, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I love to think about things like Michael being in the studio with Rod Temperton, or like just stories like that. How the Voodoo sessions were like just Quest and Pino and everybody like jamming on old soul records and then eventually arriving at these original ideas. Like I love to just think about like, it just feels I feel like this is so contrived and corny to say, but it feels like a time that music was very musical.
No, for sure. I think you answered that perfectly. And I respect those sentiments. I always lean towards the 90s only because it was the maturation of me as a musician and so forth. But the 70s is the foundation. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So it's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's interesting you mentioned that. So speaking about D'Angelo, it took him 10 years from Voodoo to Messiah.
Yeah.
And I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, someone asked him, what took you so long? And he said, I was practicing guitar. And I'm like,
hilarious.
He was already a guitar player, but to him, he was like, no, it's another level I can get to. And obviously he is going crazy.
He's incredible.
He's going crazy on that album. So when I hear you say, from a music, like, are you one of those guys? Are you one of the guys like, look, I'm in here in the shed room, like I'm really trying to go to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's just important for me, not only as an artist, but as a man. Like I just want to get better at everything I care about doing. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better partner, a better everything, and I think similarly, I have shown that sentiment as far as music. I'm in the shed hours a day, every day. And I think especially wanting to sharpen so many facets of my artistry, it requires, a little bit of time in the shed.
Of course.
So
you got you.
I feel like, that's always been super, super important to me.
Got you. Are you were you an R&B group guy?
As far as being in one?
No,
or?
just in terms of like enjoying R&B.
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, you know, I used to, when I was coming up, it was a lot of Boys to Men. It was a lot of New Edition.
Yeah.
But I'd say probably Boys to Men above most as far as directly influencing.
It's crazy. There's someone in the studio earlier that said he just don't like Boys to Men.
Really?
I almost jumped out of my seat. And
That's a hell of a take.
As a matter of fact, I think I did jump out of my seat. He's listening now, so I'm sure he's like, this dude. Right? Yeah, so, and I ask that question because then I hear like a lot of your harmony choices. Mm-hmm. You have great harmony choices.
Thank you.
You know, so I can hear, I mean, a lot of solo artists have that, but when I listen to it, I'm like, the colors that you choose. But some of that may be because of the chords that you're choosing.
Certainly. I was also a pretty big choir kid growing up, so I've just always thought about, you know, singing in parts and how maybe a pedal tone complements a good melody, or maybe some dissonance in a chord change is something that, you know, perks people's ears up. But yeah, I feel like that's always been.
Tell me about that. You was a choir kid. Did you sing in a choir in church or at school?
At school, yeah. Okay. It was all, you know,
classical choir.
It was a lot of classical, a lot of like, even like avant-garde, like Philip Glass and like stuff like that. We were into some weird stuff sometimes, but it was a lot of, you know, Italian classical, German classical songs.
There's a lot of I mean, I sang in the a cappella choir in high school as well, and there's a lot of classical training that I learned that actually stayed with me today. Yeah, because it's like, you know, these certain techniques, you know, right, and it expands your horizon sonically.
Certainly, yeah, absolutely. I feel like that even maybe because I was so young when I was like doing a lot of the choir stuff, but I feel like even still today, it definitely affected the way that I sing and I think about singing, and when I think about the technical aspect of singing, things like breath control and you know, stuff like that, breath support.
Absolutely. Like, well, tell me about how those lessons actually help you on tour, because I know that's very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially these days I have to care a little bit more for my voice on tour, but I think I mean, it just always taught you the importance of having a healthy voice, and just you know, when I'm on tour, I'm drinking like 100 bottles of water a day, like gotta get my 8 hours of sleep. Like I think it just built a good foundation just to, you know, to be able to work with.
Where do you see yourself like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Definitely still singing. But I mean, I don't know. It's a good question, but it's so hard to say, because if you asked me 10 years ago, this would have definitely not been my answer. Gotcha. So I'll be ready wherever life takes me. I think, like I said before, I've just always just been riding the wave.
Yeah. And I asked that question because, I mean, I see you're on an upward trajectory. And when I think about this new climate, 2024, 2025, you know, back in the 90s, back in the 80s, you know, we weren't as connected, meaning we didn't have social media. You know, it was very hard if someone lived in one state, lived in New York, you may not ever get a chance to speak to someone unless you're, you know, or communicate with someone in Colorado or in Seattle, Washington. Unless you have their phone number, but in terms of being able to connect with them. Now with the internet and social media, you can reach people in Tokyo, Japan. You can reach people in Australia, people you would have never known because you uploaded your music, people from all over the world. So I say that to say, you know, I see this upward trajectory for you, and in the next I would assume in the next 5 to 10 years, if you're still doing this and getting better and just growing, that you would be connecting with people and just becoming that much bigger of a star. But you're able to sell out tickets right now. And you're doing, I don't know how big are these rooms?
Last time we played New York, it was like, I think 2,500 or so.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
So you're doing 25. So that means, that tells me you'll be able to do 5,000, 10,000 seaters soon, sooner than demand, 2,500. So is that, when you're touring around, is that the average room that you're doing?
Nah, I'd say probably if I think about like everywhere that we go, I'd say the average is probably closer to 1,000.
But again, I think that's awesome. There are clusters now. Like everyone, again, the Beyoncés of the world, the Ushers, the Taylor Swifts, they're doing football arenas and so forth. But I personally don't believe we're going to see artists get that big, meaning across. I mean, you may have a few, but get that big anymore, just the way things are.
Right.
But to be able to be an artist like yourself, to hit these clusters, and you be able to do world tours, doing 2,500. Well, again, you'll be doing more than that by then. Doing those I think that's kind of like the footprint. That's what we're starting to see.
Definitely.
Things
and
leading to.
I think I did a Q&A recently where somebody asked me, how do you reach more people? Like, what's your best approach, like reaching a larger audience? And I think the way that I answered it to him was, I'm much more interested in serving the people that are already here.
Come on.
And I think, sure, it'd be great to have more listeners, but I'm so grateful and proud of anybody pulling up. I would be gassed on myself if 50 people came to the show. So like, it's just I'm very lucky and very grateful.
It's like a cult following. You build your. Yeah. So how do you feel about festivals? Are you like a festival artist?
I've done a few. It's I've had good experiences and bad experiences, but it's fun.
If you can put on your own festival,
ooh,
who you booking?
Oh my God.
Dead or alive? You're on
Dead
the
or
ticket.
alive?
Dead or alive? You're on the ticket.
Woo! I have to play too.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. All right. Well, Stevie's headlining.
Come on.
He's gonna play 4 hours, all of his albums of the 70s in succession.
Yeah, come on.
Then, if I'm like building it up, I'll play. Let's have her on there.
Come
I
on.
love her.
She is amazing.
Oh my God, I would put so many people. Like, if it could be like a dream of like who I would want to see, I'd put the Bee Gees on there.
Come on.
I would put.
Hold on. Bee Gees or Beatles?
For me, oh fuck, that's actually hard. As a songwriter, it's the Beatles for me, but I'd say probably overall, there's probably more Bee Gees tunes on the playlist.
Okay, we brothers. I pick Bee Gees.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
There's a clip on social media where the Bee Gees are singing "How Deep Is Your Love" on a talk show.
Yeah. I know the clip. Yeah,
and I commented, "Argue with your mama, Bee Gees over Beatles." There's
I'm sure the internet loved that.
Yeah, but it's thousands of people who agreed. Now, of course, it's
really?
Oh yeah. It's a lot of people who disagreed, of course.
Yeah.
And like my brother is a huge, he's like one of the Beatles' greatest fans, biggest fans. And I think the Beatles obviously are great. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But the Bee Gees, man, the vocals, bro.
Generational.
Yeah.
The blend.
The harmonies.
Everything. Have you seen the HBO Max documentary?
Oh, I had, man.
I was crying the whole time.
Cold-blooded.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. So you got Stevie Wonder, you got her, you got the Bee Gees.
Throw them in there.
This is crazy.
I'm putting Jamiroquai on my list.
Come on.
That would be fun at a festival.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. I mean, fuck it. Give me D'Angelo and that band I was talking about.
Man,
let them play 2 hours.
that's 200,000 people gonna be out there. Yeah.
We're gonna have to pack them in.
Or more. That's a 1,000,000-man march.
I'm gonna have to find a venue for that. But we'll pack them in.
I like that.
Yeah. Just let D and Stevie go for forever.
Oh, no,
as long as they want.
And D'Angelo he'll give you 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Easy.
Just let him jam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Repeat the chorus.
Absolutely.
8 times.
He gonna give you 30-minute interludes of just, a 30-minute intro.
I need the whole band though.
Yeah.
I need Jesse Johnson from the time, like with the rhinestones on his guitar and shit. I need the whole band.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Like, I mean, obviously you've dropped 6 projects. Cloudy is the most recent project. What's next for you? What do you have coming up?
Well, immediately next, I'm heading to Europe at the end of November. I'm opening for Keshi, this R&B artist.
Yeah.
He's playing. I'm opening for him in Europe. We're going to Australia, New Zealand, and Hawaii at the top of next year.
Fantastic.
And then I'm following him for some of the North America shows as well next summer.
Man.
But also, and I get to, we're playing the Garden in New York. So
Come
I'm
on.
like lifelong Knicks fan.
Come on.
I'm a little bit freaking out about it.
Knicks trash.
Who's your team?
Lakers.
Okay.
Exactly.
We'll just look at the camera for that one.
Yeah, look at it. The Knicks
What's
haven't won
understood doesn't have
anything
to be
in
said.
46 years.
Oh, man.
Although I do like what the Knicks are doing right now. I like Bronson.
I'll take that.
I like what the Knicks are doing right now. I'm just
take that.
saying, y'all ain't nothing but some NBA Cowboy fans.
It's, all right. I see the comp. I'm not going to lie. I was just at the NBA store today when we were in Manhattan, and they had like the patch jackets with all the like the championship years on it, and the Celtics shits is like it's 2 sleeves of years and the front.
Exactly.
The Knicks, like we have like a shoulder patch, 70, 73.
Yeah, haven't won anything since I've been alive.
No, not even close.
Exactly.
I mean, almost since my mom's
The
been
Lakers
alive.
won
the bubble.
Well, and the other 16.
Yeah, I remember those.
And national championships.
Yeah.
And we also just won the in-season tournament last year.
Oh man, come on, bro. You did. I'll give you that.
Did the Knicks come out the East last year?
No.
I know.
No. You already knew that?
I did.
You saw it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. All I gotta say is we're coming back to Indiana. We'll be ready this year.
A guy.
We got more pieces.
I mean, you got Cat now.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how that works out.
Last night was ugly.
He's a liability on defense.
He is. We're a hell of an offensive team now.
A hell of an offensive team.
Crazy. I like OG and McCall on
OG
the wings
is nice.
though. They lock up.
OG is
wing
nice.
stop.
No, I'm not gonna hate. Look, I flew into town last night. I live in New Orleans.
Okay.
And I said, I'm gonna be in New York. I got to try to catch a Knicks game.
Yeah.
We were taping last night, so I ended up not being able to make it. But did y'all win that game?
Last night? Mm-hmm. I have a feeling you already know the answer.
I'm just trying to double check.
Why did Josh Hart foul Kobe White, man? Yeah, it was a heartbreaker. And that JB shot should have fell too.
Damn.
In and out.
Damn. Can we talk? NBA?
Can we talk basketball?
Right. No, but the Knicks, the Knicks is obviously a legacy team, and but you get all of this notoriety because you're in one of the greatest cities in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mecca.
Yeah. But other than that, anyway, but you're gonna be able to play the Garden, though. No, but playing the Garden is obviously that's gonna be amazing.
So lifelong dream. I told this story recently too. I did the anthem for a Knicks game last year, and
that's awesome.
Like for performances of mine, like I don't really get too many nerves. Like more like anxious to get out there.
Yeah.
I have never been so nervous in my life to sing in front of Jalen Brunson, bro.
Come on.
I was geeking.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, coming up, I just played a show at LPR in Manhattan, and it was just me at the piano. Like normally I'm up there with a band, and that was a really cool new musical endeavor, and I'm hoping to bring that to some other cities as well.
That's fantastic. Man, Mac, I think you're an incredible, incredible talent. Again, I'm a new fan. The music's out of here. And I guess from here on out, I'm definitely going to be telling people, hey, have you heard of Mac Ayres? But obviously we have an episode out, so when we drop this episode, we'll introduce you to all of our fans, and that'll help expand what you got going on. But man, you're amazing, bro. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you, bro.
This is a continued conversation. We have none other than the most talented new artist, one of the most talented new artists in the game right now, Mac Ayres. Peace out.
Can we talk? Can we talk? Can we talk?